Question 1. A tech startup is planning to launch a new global mobile marketplace using AWS Amplify and AWS Mobile Hub. To lower the latency, the backend APIs will be launched to multiple AWS regions to process the sales and financial transactions on the region closest to the users. You are instructed to design the system architecture to ensure that the transactions made in one region are automatically replicated to other regions. In the coming months ahead, it is expected that the marketplace will have millions of users across North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. Which of the following is the most scalable, cost-effective and highly available architecture that you should implement? Answer. Create a global DynamoDB table with replica tables across several AWS regions that you prefer. In each local region, store the individual transactions to a DynamoDB replica table in the same region. Any changes made in one of the replica tables will automatically be replicated across all other tables. Question 2. Your team had developed an online voting application for a photo competition in AWS using CloudFormation. The application accepts high-quality images of each contestant and stores them in S3, then records the information about the image as well as the contestant's profile in RDS. After the competition, the CloudFormation stack is not used anymore, and to save resources, the stack can be terminated. Your manager instructed you to back up the RDS database and the S3 bucket so the data can still be used even after the CloudFormation template is deleted. Which of the following options is the most suitable solution to fulfill this requirement? Answer. Set the deletion policy on the RDS resource to snapshot and set the S3 bucket to retain. Question 3. A graphics design startup is using multiple Amazon S3 buckets to store high-resolution media files for their various digital artworks. After securing a partnership deal with a leading media company, the two parties shall be sharing digital resources with one another as part of the contract. The media company frequently performs multiple object retrievals from the S3 buckets every day, which increase the startup's data transfer costs. As the solutions architect, what should you do to help the startup lower their operational costs? Answer. Enable the requester pays feature in all of the startup's S3 buckets to make the media company pay the cost of the data transfer from the buckets. Question 4. You are working for the country's biggest stock exchange as a solutions architect. Due to the nature of their financial operations, it is required that all of their trading applications must be highly available and fault-tolerant. They have auto-scaled on-demand EC2 instances which are deployed to two separate availability zones with an elastic load balancing and an Amazon RDS instance configured with multi-OS configuration. In this scenario, what is the type of replication that occurs between the instances when configuring an RDS environment for multi-OS in a particular region? Answer. Synchronous replication. Question 5. You have a production, development, and test environments in your software development department, and each environment contains tens to hundreds of EC2 instances, along with other AWS services. Recently, Ubuntu released a series of security patches for a critical flaw that was detected in their OS. Although this is an urgent matter, there is no guarantee yet that these patches will be bug-free and production-ready. Hence, you have to immediately patch all of your affected EC2 instances in all the environments, except for the production environment. The EC2 instances in the production environment will only be patched after you have verified that the patches work effectively. Each environment also has different baseline patch requirements that you will need to satisfy. Using the AWS Systems Manager service, how should you perform this task with the least amount of effort? Answer. Tag each instance based on its environment and OS. Create a patch baseline in AWS Systems Manager Patch Manager for each environment. Categorize EC2 instances based on their tags using patch groups and apply the patches specified in the corresponding patch baseline to each patch group. Question 6. You are working as a solutions architect for Air France. The government requires every major airline institution, including your company, to perform a compulsory audit every year. An internal auditor from a major audit firm has been assigned to review your company's internal AWS services. In this situation, what is the best solution that will provide the auditor the necessary access required to audit your services without compromising the security of your data? Answer. Assign an IAM role to the IAM user of the auditor and provide permissions for read-only access to the company's AWS services. Question 7. You are the lead solutions architect for an IT consulting firm which has various teams and departments that have been grouped into several organizational units, OUs, using AWS organizations. You received a report from the security team that there was a suspected breach in your environment where a third-party AWS account was suddenly added to your organization without any prior approval. The external account has high-level access privileges to the accounts that you own, but luckily, no detrimental action was performed. What should you do to properly set up a monitoring system that notifies you for any changes to your AWS accounts? Choose 2. Answer. Create a trail in Amazon Cloud Trail to capture all API calls to your AWS organizations, including calls from the AWS Organizations Console and from code calls to the AWS Organizations APIs. Use CloudWatch events and SNS to raise events when administrator-specified actions occur in an organization and send a notification to you. And use AWS Config to monitor the compliance of your AWS organizations. Set up an SNS topic or CloudWatch events that will send alerts to you for any changes. Question 8. A company has created multiple accounts in AWS to support the rapid growth of its cloud services. The multiple accounts are used to separate their various departments such as finance, human resources, engineering, and many others. Each account is managed by a systems administrator which has the root access for that specific account only. There is a requirement to centrally manage policies across multiple AWS accounts by allowing or denying particular AWS services for individual accounts, or for groups of accounts. Which is the most suitable solution that you should implement with the least amount of complexity? Answer. Use AWS organizations and service control policies to control the list of AWS services that can be used by each member account. Question 9. A data analytics startup has been chosen to develop a data analytics system that will track all statistics in the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, FIFA, World Cup, which will also be used by other third-party analytics sites. The system will record, store and provide statistical data reports about the top scorers, goal scores for each team, average goals, average passes and average yellow/red cards per match and many other details. FIFA fans all over the world will frequently access the statistics reports every day, and thus, it should be durably stored, highly available and highly scalable. In addition, the data analytics system will allow the users to vote for the best male and female FIFA player as well as the best male and female coach. Due to the popularity of the FIFA World Cup event, it is projected that there will be over 10 million queries on game day and could spike to 30 million queries over the course of time. Which of the following is the most cost-effective solution that will meet these requirements? Answer. 1. Generate the FIFA reports from MySQL database in multi-OS RDS deployments configuration with read replicas. 2. Set up a batch job that put reports in an S3 bucket. 3. Launch a CloudFront distribution to cache the content with a TTL set to expire objects daily. Question 10. A serverless application is using a Lambda function which fetches data from a public REST API as part of its processing. There is a new requirement to configure the function to store the results to a database hosted in a virtual private cloud, VPC, in your account. You have provided the additional VPC-specific configuration information which includes the subnet IDs and security group IDs. However, your function had stopped working and could not complete the processing after your change. Which of the following should you do to fix this issue? Choose 2. Answer. Add a NAT gateway to your VPC and ensure that the associated security group of the Lambda function allows outbound connections. Question 11. A solutions architect has been assigned to develop a workflow to ensure that the required patches of all of their Windows EC2 instances are properly identified and applied automatically. To maintain their system uptime requirements, it is of utmost importance to ensure that the EC2 instance reboots do not occur at the same time on all of their Windows instances. This is to avoid any loss of revenue that could be caused by any unavailability issues of their systems. Which of the following will meet the above requirements? Answer. Create 2 patch groups with unique tags that you will assign to all of your EC2 Windows instances. Associate the predefined AWS default patch baseline on both patch groups. Set up 2 non-overlapping maintenance windows and associate each with a different patch group. Using patch group tags, register targets with specific maintenance windows, and lastly, assign the AWS Run Patch Baseline document as a task within each maintenance window which has a different processing start time. Question 12. A leading media company has a hybrid architecture where its on-premises data center is connected to AWS via a direct connect connection. They also have a repository of over 50 terabyte digital videos and media files. These files are stored on their on-premises tape library and are used by their Media Asset Management (MAM) system. Due to the sheer size of their data, they want to implement an automated catalog system that will enable them to search their files using facial recognition. A catalog will store the faces of the people who are present in these videos, including a still image of each person. Eventually, the media company would like to migrate these media files to AWS, including the MAM video contents. Which of the following options provides a solution which uses the least amount of ongoing management overhead and will cause minimal disruption to the existing system? Answer. Integrate the file system of your local data center to AWS Storage Gateway by setting up a file gateway appliance on premises. Utilize the MAM solution to extract the media files from the current data store and send them into the file gateway. Build a collection using Amazon Recognition by populating a catalog of faces from the processed media files. Use an AWS Lambda function to invoke Amazon Recognition JavaScript SDK to have it fetch the media file from the S3 bucket which is backing the file gateway, retrieve the needed metadata, and finally, persist the information into the MAM solution. Question 13. You are working as a solutions architect for a credit company. They are running a customer analytics web application in AWS and your data analytics department has asked you to add a reporting tier to the application. This new component will aggregate and publish status reports every hour from user-generated information that is being stored in a multi-AWS RDS MySQL database instance. The RDS instance is configured with Elastic as a database caching layer between the application tier and database tier. How do you implement a reporting tier with as little impact to your database as possible? Answer. Launch an RDS read replica link to your multi-AWS master database and generate reports from the read replica. Use QuickSight to visualize the reports. Question 14. An advertising firm is required to analyze the clickstream data of all of their websites in real time. The data will be used for clickstream analysis, which contains the pages that the user visits and the sequential stream of clicks they create as they move across the website. Which of the following options will fulfill this requirement in AWS? Answer. Push the clickstream data by session to an Amazon Kinesis stream and then analyze the data by using Amazon Kinesis workers. Question 15. A company is planning to launch a global e-commerce marketplace that will be accessible to multiple countries and regions. The solutions architect must ensure that the clients are protected from common web vulnerabilities as well as man-in-the-middle attacks to secure their sensitive financial information. Which of the following is most secure setup that the architect should implement in this scenario? Answer. For the web domain registration, use Amazon Route 53 and enable domain name system security extensions, (NSEC). Also use Amazon Route 53 for all DNS services. Use the AWS Certificate Manager, ACM, to register TLS/SSL certificates for the e-commerce marketplace, then attach them on the application load balancer. Configure the server name identification extension in all user requests to the website. Question 16. A media company has established a direct connect connection between their on-premises data center and their VPC in AWS. The web applications hosted on their data center are experiencing high latency when accessing data from S3 bucket. As the solutions architect, what can you do to reduce the latency in this hybrid cloud architecture? Answer. Set up a public virtual interface to connect to a public S3 endpoint resource via the direct connect connection. Question 17. In your on-premises data center, you have a multi-tiered supply chain application which is using trusted IP addresses that your third-party vendors have whitelisted in their network. As the solutions architect of the company, you are responsible to migrate the application to your VPC in AWS without requiring your vendors to change their IP address whitelists. This has to be done in the most cost-effective manner. Which of the following is the best solution that the architect should implement to meet the above requirement? Answer. Create elastic IP addresses from your Bring Your Own IP, BioIP, address prefix and use them with AWS resources such as EC2 instances, network load balancers, and net gateways. Question 18. As a solutions architect in a top IT consultancy firm, your role is to implement a reliable and highly available system that can recover from infrastructure or service disruptions. In addition, It should dynamically acquire computing resources to meet demand and mitigate service disruptions such as misconfigurations or transient network issues. Which of the following is the most suitable option that you can implement to satisfy the above requirement? Answer. Scale horizontally to increase aggregate system availability. Replace one large resource with multiple small resources to reduce the impact of a single failure on the overall system. Distribute requests across multiple, smaller resources to ensure that they don't share a common point of failure. Implement auto-scaling on your EC2 instances and utilize multiple availability zones. Clone your stack to another AWS region and implement a Route 53 weighted routing policy. Question 19. A leading financial company is planning to launch its MERN, MongoDB, Express, React, Node.js application with an Amazon RDS MariaDB database to serve its clients worldwide. The application will run on both on-premises servers as well as reserved EC2 instances. To comply with the company's strict security policy, the database credentials must be encrypted both at rest and in transit. These credentials will be used by the application servers to connect to the database. The solutions architect is tasked to manage all of the aspects of the application architecture and production deployment. How should the architect automate the deployment process of the application in the most secure manner? Answer. Upload the database credentials with a secure string data type in AWS Systems Manager parameter store. Set up a new IAM role with an attached policy that enables access and decryption of the database credentials, then associate this role to all on-premises servers and EC2 instances. Deploy the application packages to the EC2 instances and on-premises servers using AWS code. Deploy. Question 20. Your startup company is building a web app that lets users post photos of good deeds in their neighborhood with a 143-character caption/article. You decided to write the application in React.js, a popular JavaScript framework, so that it would run on the broadest range of browsers, mobile phones, and tablets. Your app should provide access to Amazon DynamoDB to store the caption. The initial prototype shows that there aren't large spikes in usage. Which option provides the most cost-effective and scalable architecture for this application? Answer. Register the web application with a web identity provider such as Google, Facebook, Amazon, or from any other popular social sites, and use the Assume role with Web Identity API of STS to generate temporary credentials. Create an IAM role for that web provider and set up permissions for the IAM role to allow GET operations in S3 and PUT operations in DynamoDB. Serve your web app out of an S3 bucket enabled as a website.